Her Majesty the Queen not get on with all of her British Prime Ministers? And which one in particular is slightly miffed at not receiving a certain accolade? Hi, good morning, Neil Sean here in the heart of London. Hope you're well, thank you for your company. Hope you're enjoying the view today. This is the south side of the embankment. Beautiful River Thames below me. Hopefully it stays below me. Let's not mention that or else Greta will be on the line. Anyway, as ever, back to your breaking royal story of the day. Now, I often think with Her Majesty, it must be incredible when you do think about this, because she's met, and of course, Prime Ministers have served under her, well, so many in her long reign. And of course, her very first Prime Minister was the legend that was Winston Churchill. I think he was a very good first Prime Minister for her, because according to good sources, he really helped Her Majesty fit into the job. Of course, you know, she was brand new to the role, a young woman and learning the ropes, you know, let's not forget. One story though that I've never been able to verify, even though I've met both ladies, is this from Margaret Thatcher. Apparently, very early on in Margaret Thatcher's premiership, her office rang Her Majesty the Queen because they were both attending a certain function. And Mrs. Thatcher wanted to know what colour Her Majesty the Queen would be wearing because they didn't want to clash. Now, a perfectly civil question. And, you know, you can understand that. You know what you girls are like, you know, you want to make sure that nobody else has got the same colour on in the room. Or even particularly maybe the same style of ball gown, you know, whatever. In this day and age, it'd be really confusing if you asked that question, but moving on quickly. Now, apparently, the message back was, Mrs. Thatcher can wear exactly what she wants, as Her Majesty the Queen doesn't notice what anyone else is wearing. What a put down, eh? But back, of course, to the breaking royal story of the day. The story basically is based around this particular incident. Way back, as we know, in 1997, we lost the beautiful and charismatic Princess Diana, and it really did shock the world. It's hard to imagine how this really did affect everyone, you know, pre-social media, because if you think about it, social media now, that would be just spread around the world within seconds. Back then, things took time to filter through. It's a bit like the John F. Kennedy quote, isn't it? Do you know where you were when he was shot? Well, I think we all remember where we were when we first heard the news about Princess Diana. Now, the British Prime Minister at the time was none other than the Right Honourable Tony Blair. Now, I've met Tony Blair on quite a number of occasions, interviewing him, producing shows that he's been involved with, that sort of stuff. And you get to meet the person, you know, they do tend to switch off a little bit and start to talk between takes, that sort of thing. Now, Tony Blair has always, well, come to me as a person who's got good morals, in fact, and more importantly, seems very down to earth. So it seems strange to think that he felt, according to this particular report, snubbed by Her Majesty the Queen. But what was it about? Apparently it was about that he had to advise Her Majesty the Queen to come back from Scotland to speak to her subjects and the nation about the terrible situation that was evolving outside Kensington Palace and Buckingham Palace. We all know, don't we, that Her Majesty the Queen basically said, look, I'm looking after 2 grandchildren here. I think they need me most. I'm a grandmother first. But of course, duty always calls with Her Majesty the Queen, and very famously she did speak to the nation. Now, apparently that is the sentiment that's still simmering through as to why Tony Blair, the former British Prime Minister, has not received a knighthood. I don't really buy this particular claim, because Her Majesty the Queen, I am told, does not hold grudges and doesn't seem that sort of person. Very Christian, very based in her faith, and just simply moves on with life. So this could be a way, of course, of reminding Her Majesty that Tony has yet to become Sir Tony, and of course those around him. But let's not also forget that Theresa May didn't receive any sort of award, neither did Gordon Brown. There's many other Prime Ministers throughout her long reign that haven't received it. So I'm not quite sure why they've singled this out. One of the reasons I do believe is, of course, it's based from a forthcoming book, and the author is trying to stoke up some publicity. But delving into this story for you, what I am told is she got on incredibly well with Tony Blair. They had a mutual respect for each other, but were never that close. Make of that what you will. Neil Sean in the heart of London.